Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. We kick off this program with our longtime friend and higher ed partner, Dr. Ali Houshmand, president of Rowan University. Good to see you, Mr. President.
Good to see you as well, sir. Glad to be with you.
Absolutely. Is it not a fact that you are celebrating, as we speak, 10 years as president?
Yes, sir.
Does it seem longer or shorter?
It's a long, 10 years. I was going to say it's long, 100 years. Then I realized that it's no 10 years. Yeah, it is. And you know, Steve, being a college president, especially now, because, you know, you are basically the protectorate, the most precious assets that people can have, their children. And that's an enormous responsibility. And if anything happens to any one of them, of course, is of monumental concern. You think that you have failed. And so being in this position and worrying about that, worrying about budget, worrying about, you know, people showing up to work, remote work, you know, all sorts of issues that we deal with on a daily basis, you know, those are the challenges. And it makes us strong, but sometimes exhausted.
You know, one of the things, Ali, and I mentioned you are one of our higher ed, Rowan is one of our higher ed partners, excuse me. One of the things that I'm struck by is I was teasing you about this in a good way before we got on the air. Always something new going on, particularly around partnerships, collaboration. Question, there's a federal workforce training grant that has come to Rowan. What is it and why is it so important?
It is very important because what has happened, Steve, forever, for recent, I would say the past 30 years or so in this country, every single individual have assumed that in order to be successful, you have to go and get a 4-year college degree, rather than getting a dignified, well-paying job that can sustain you. And as a result, you know, we have got this massive $19 million undergraduates, 11 of whom are, you know, on campuses. And everybody wants to get a baccalaureate degree. And when you go to places like county colleges where you train electricians and plumbers and HVACs and electricians and all these trades and other crafts that the country desperately needs, we don't do that because people look down at those things. And I think the role of the higher education, including senior universities, including research universities, should be the following. What is my responsibility towards the economy of my country and my state? And I need to do my very best to be an asset there, because my sole responsibility is to train the future of America. If that is my job, then I have to make sure that who I train fits what the needs are. And I think we need to start really thinking that way, come down from that ivory tower. There's nothing wrong with Rowan to do a PhD in molecular biology and have a medical schools and at the same time work in trades. Nothing wrong. It doesn't insult me. And I think we should get to that attitude.
It's so interesting you talk about this because there are a lot of people who question, and we did an interview with Gary Vaynerchuk, who is an entrepreneur, and people talk a lot about him, and he's been a great guest of ours, and he has questioned it. Now, I'm a big advocate of higher education. I've been part of that world. Our son's about to go to college as we speak. We have another son in college. But the reason I say that is Gary V, as he's called, was questioning the value, and I'm not going to get into a philosophical debate about the value of college education, but what you're talking about is changing what that education has been historically, and also along those lines, environmental initiatives that you and the university have been involved in, that is more tied not just to the environment and sustainability, but the jobs and the marketplace of tomorrow. Talk about it, Dr. Houshmand.
Yes, exactly. Look at the future. To me, the future of the economy of the world circles around having enough water, having enough energy packaged in the smallest package as possible, and having a reliable healthcare for people to function. These are the areas that are going to be growing, and all of them are directly, and the other one, of course, is food production. All of them directly or indirectly impacting the environment. And we need to use technology to produce these things in such a way that does not deplete the environment further than it has done. Because as a citizen, by myself, I cannot believe anybody who thinks that environmental issues and concerns are hoax. It's hard for me to believe
But
that.
you hear it, Dr. Houshmand. How do you deal with that when you hear it?
Well, you have to show example and try to keep on educating and debating in a very civilized and a very nice manner to really convince through example what the situation is. And I think part of it is because, sometimes people tend to get the news from certain sources rather than from all the sources. I myself really watch everything. I have no problem watching CNN versus Fox versus this and reading various newspapers. I learn from all.
PBS is your favorite. You've told me this personally.
Yes, it is. For radio,
Just want to
yes.
I'm sorry, a shameless plug for public broadcasting. I'm sorry. Pick up your point, Ali.
So what I'm saying is that I think we need to start looking at these kind of issues a lot more and look at the areas of environmental concern through the new degree programs that we produce. Right now, for example, Rowan University is very involved in modern agriculture and food production. As part of the sustainability, we are actually hiring a professor in that area. We have just already hired a farmer. I actually am a farmer. I grow about 2 acres of land where I grow peppers as well as food. And I box these things and we deliver it to a community, to neighborhood for free over the summer. Last year, we did 11,000 pounds. This year, it's going to be significantly more. But through that, I hire students. I teach them what it takes to grow food so that they can literally see it from seed to eat. And when they see this kind of thing and they try to understand what it takes to grow a pound of tomato, and what are the better and more creative way for them to start researching to find a better way so that less water can be used, less energy can be used, and produce better yield and more nutrition. These are the kind of things that we need to teach our future generation.
Ali, let me ask you something. When you talk to your colleagues, other university and college presidents, and you talk the way you're speaking right now about the need to evolve, adapt, pivot, innovate, et cetera, not just with rhetoric, but in reality, you're doing that. Are they mostly supportive, or are they like, what's up with this guy?
Well, they're mixed up both. I have heard a lot of what's up with this guy, and it's okay. And I don't blame them because, it is kind of out of the box, sometimes crazy ideas that you.
Not in the academy.
Exactly. It's not in the academy. But I've got many of my colleagues who really are thinking the same kind of issues. They are very creative. They worry about this thing. They spend their lives doing this thing, and as a result, they also consider these issues. What are the challenges? Because they see this happening in front of us.
And you got to stay relevant.
We have to. We have no choice. If in today's world, if you don't stay relevant, you just go away.
It's the same thing true for us in broadcasting and public broadcasting.
Exactly.
Can I get this real quick? The Sweeney Center for Public Policy, 30 seconds, please.
It's a public policy that is purely academic. It's part of the Department of Political Science. Mr. Sweeney, the only role that he has, he chairs the advisory committee. Yes, former Senate President. He's a chair of an advisory committee. He has no office on our campus. He's not on any pay. The only thing that we do, we genuinely, truly trying to do bipartisan research through papers that we publish for people to judge. That's really what I see. That's what I've committed to. And we wanted to do that 3 years ago. We applied for a grant. We didn't get it. And this has happened right now. I think we have an opportunity to make something because Rowan has grown in all areas. And I think this is an area that we need to truly become a center of providing good information to policymakers. And that's really what I would like to happen.
No, so let me also say Rowan was, I believe, sponsored one of the gubernatorial debates was at Rowan, if I'm not mistaken, put together with our partners, I believe, at public television as well. Ali Houshmand, Dr. Ali Houshmand is the president of Rowan University, 10 years there. Ali, thank you so much for joining us and being one of our higher ed partners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You got it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Delta Dental of New Jersey, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, RWJ Barnabas Health, the Northward Center, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Choose New Jersey, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, and by Prudential Financial. Promotional support provided by CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and by NJ.com.
New Jersey's early educators and childcare providers are more than twice as likely to live below the poverty line versus the general workforce. Reimagine Childcare, formed by a coalition in New Jersey, is dedicated to improving accessibility, affordability, and quality of childcare and reimagining the way we support these essential providers. Learn more by visiting reimaginechildcare.org.